What causes secondary victimization for sexual violence survivors in conflict? Have you ever wondered why some survivors of sexual violence face even more trauma after their initial experience? This situation, known as secondary victimization, can be particularly severe in conflict settings. Let's break down what causes this issue and how it relates to the conduct of hostilities and specific prohibitions under international humanitarian law. First, victim-blaming attitudes are a major factor. Survivors often find themselves facing skepticism from legal, medical, and social service providers. Instead of receiving support, they may be questioned about their credibility or even blamed for what happened to them. This can feel like a re-traumatization, echoing the pain of the original assault. Next, we have insensitive or inadequate institutional practices. Agencies that respond to sexual violence sometimes prioritize their own procedures over the needs of survivors. This can lead to feelings of violation as survivors navigate a system that seems to disregard their trauma. Another issue is the lack of training and awareness among service providers. Many individuals in law enforcement, medical fields, and the judicial system do not have specialized training on how to handle cases of sexual violence. This gap can result in inappropriate responses, such as insensitive questioning or a failure to provide adequate protection. Stigma and negative social reactions also play a significant role. Survivors may face discrimination or social exclusion from their communities. This stigma can discourage them from reporting the crime or seeking help, compounding their suffering. Legal and procedural barriers are another challenge. In conflict settings, the judicial process can be re-traumatizing. Survivors may have to undergo invasive medical examinations or repeatedly recount their experiences. These procedures can undermine their trust in the justice system and worsen their psychological harm. Finally, the failure to protect civilians and uphold international humanitarian law contributes to secondary victimization. The Geneva Conventions and the laws of armed conflict clearly prohibit sexual violence and mandate protection for victims. When these laws are not respected, survivors remain vulnerable to ongoing violence and neglect. To combat secondary victimization, several practical steps can be taken. Specialized training for all actors involved in responding to sexual violence is essential. This training should focus on survivor-centered approaches. Additionally, providing confidential and trauma-informed medical and psychological care is crucial. Legal assistance and protective measures must respect survivors' dignity and rights. Enforcing international humanitarian law provisions can help protect civilians from sexual violence and hold perpetrators accountable. Lastly, establishing mechanisms to monitor and address secondary victimization within institutions is vital. In summary, secondary victimization for sexual violence survivors in conflict arises from systemic failures in protection, respect, and support. Addressing these causes requires coordinated efforts across legal, medical, and social sectors to uphold the rights and dignity of survivors.